Hi everyone, back again. I just thought I'd share something with you. I moved recently from a house into a condo. Like, that's a fancy name for an apartment. Speaking of which, I decided to call my condo Fred. Now, the name has a history of sorts. At one time, I was with the Chilliwack Toastmasters. I joined Toastmasters because I wanted to learn how to be comfortable speaking in front of a group of people. So one of the first speeches you do at Toastmasters is called the icebreaker. It's where you speak about yourself. The idea is it's supposed to be an easier speech because you know the subject well. So I wrote my speech, and then I'm there that evening. Before the meeting starts, the person who was introducing me asked me the title of my speech. And I didn't know it was supposed to have a title. So I said, Fred. Now, the name Fred, the title, had absolutely nothing to do with the content of the speech. Just like this monologue has absolutely nothing to do with today's show. So let's just get on to it, shall we? Our first guest today is somebody, well, you all know, but you don't know, if you know what I mean. Actually, I'm talking about our mayor. Time for us to get to know our mayor, Sharon Gaetz. Mayor!
Nancy, it's so good to see you.
You too. Thank you
for having me.
For sure. Please, have a seat.
Thank you.
Thanks again for coming.
Oh, it's so my pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.
One question I have is, what's the proper way to address a mayor?
Well, you would call me Sharon, but if you were in council chambers, you would say either your worship or Mayor Gaetz. But for here, Sharon is just perfect.
Oh, that's really cool. Thanks, Sharon.
You're welcome.
Why politics? Like, what made you decide to get into politics to begin with?
Oh, what a great question. Well, I've always been the kind of person that things have to be fair for. And if I see injustice, I have to, get in there and try to fix it. And I think it's probably middle child syndrome or something like that. Nothing's fair in a big family. And I can remember watching a school board meeting where one of the members, in my view, wasn't being treated very fairly, or he wasn't being heard. And I remember getting a little bit incensed about that, Nancy, and I talked to my sister and was telling her about that, and in a burst of kind of zeal, I said, I'm gonna run for school trustee. And she said, good, and I'm gonna be your campaign manager. And then there was no backing out. But I am really thankful for that opportunity. I was able to serve as a school trustee for 3 years. And then I lost an election by 12 votes, which was absolutely heartbreaking. And then the mayor of the time, his name was John Less, came to me and said, you're wasting your talents. Why don't you come on city council, run for city council? And I said, I can remember saying to him, well, it's all sewer, water, and roads, right? Because I like kids, and I'm not sure what I could add. And he said, oh, you wait, it's so much more than sewer, water, and roads. and he was darn right. So I served as a counselor for 12 years. And when our present mayor, Clint Ames of the day, said that he was going to retire, then I decided to throw my hat in the ring, and here I am 9 years later.
Wow, wow. So what are some of the duties as a mayor?
So the mayor is the chief executive officer of the city. So the mayor is works together with the chief administrative officer in the city. I bring council together. What some people may not know about the mayor, believe it or not, they kind of think she's like a queen or a dictator, and I can just say, have this done, and then it's done. But in fact, all the decisions that are made in council are decisions of 7 people. So the mayor is 1 vote. If I can influence the rest to think my way, then we can move in my direction. If not, then we go another, and we have a very full discussion around our council table all the time. The mayor has to be really acquainted with the rules of order. Rules of order are to help people have their voices be heard and to not let one voice dominate a conversation. Let's make it fair. So it fits right in with who I am and my character. And there's a bit of a weird transition right now as social media has become so big. Everybody gets their news from either Twitter or Snapchat or from Instagram or Facebook, And believe it or not, some of that stuff isn't true. It really isn't. It's unbelievable.
Surprise.
I know, surprise. So some people will read something and they'll react immediately and get very angry. My job is to wow them with customer service, to make them feel as if they've been heard, as if I know the concern, and if there's anything I can do to help them, then I do that. But I do know that it's been difficult because sometimes you can feel like you're chasing your tail when there's a lot of misinformation that goes out in a community. I personally am not on Facebook. There were a few instances where I was not safe on Facebook and was advised to not be on it. And so after a couple of threats, sadly.
Wow.
So I have taken a step back from that, but find the other mediums of social media to be quite respectful most of the time. And of course, I'm very accessible to everyone. All they have to do is write Gaetz, G-A-E-T-Z, at chilliwack.com. And people can get a hold of me with any concern they'd have.
Well, that's good to know. I'm glad you said that, actually, because a lot of people don't realize that you are accessible, right?
Oh my gosh, yes, I am. And you know, sometimes maybe too accessible, but I think it's part of living in a small community. I was brought up here, right? And I know everyone. So I go to the grocery store, and there are days I might have to wear sunglasses just to run in and get that head of lettuce and get out of there. And members of council are very accessible too. You know, every single councillor on our city council has another job beside the one that they do.
You were just telling me about your family?
Yes, I have 2 children. I had Jonathan is now 39 years old, just amazing. And I have 2 little grandchildren, Samantha, who is 12, and Liam, who is 8, and a lovely daughter-in-law, Joanne, who is the shelter manager over at Salvation Army. I had a daughter, and sadly she passed away in 2002, so it's coming up to a 15-year anniversary.
Sorry to
and
hear that.
Thank you. We miss her every day.
I imagine.
Every day. But you know, as time passes, and maybe this is a word of comfort for people, because I know in our community there are lots of parents out there that have lost a child long before their time, and there's such a sadness, and you feel as if you will never get better, that your chest will always ache. And the comfort to them is time softens that.
Right.
It does. And you learn to live without them, and you learn that there were some beautiful, beautiful moments that you were blessed to share. So I'm thankful for that.
But it shifts your life, right? It just shifts your whole world.
Without a doubt. I think it's when I see moms and dads after those kind of things have happened to them, get out of bed and brush their teeth, I give them bonus points, because there are moments you wake up where you just feel like I should throw the covers back over my head and let the world go on by, but it doesn't.
Yeah, now let's lighten things up a little bit.
Right.
I know that. Yeah, I'm glad you talked about it, but it's like going to have everybody crying. I just want to get back a little bit, if it's okay with you, about I actually met you in the summertime at you were opening the ceremonies for the Hog Rally fundraiser.
Yes.
Right, and I was just wondering, is that as a mayor's duty, like doing something like that, is that something you really enjoy?
Yes, but I wanted to say I never knew how cheeky and funny you were. Honestly, we had so much fun at that event.
It was fun.
And I know you were the chair for that event, and it was great. And yes, the mayor gets to do so many things in a community like that. Before I was mayor, I don't think I knew that there were so many small groups of people that met together around a certain passion or interest. There are some beautiful things that we get to do in local government, and I would encourage anyone. I mean, there's an election coming up in a year and a half, and anyone who loves people, this is the job for you. Anyone who is a good listener and a good reader, because you really do have to read a lot, you will love it. Your weekends will be full, your life will be full. You'll wonder where your life disappeared to, but you'll have a lot of fun on the way.
Now, before you were mayor,
yeah.
and before you were in council, what did you do?
So I kind of transitioned, because, you know, I started here in the city, and there's still older people in our community that will say, Sharon, I remember you when you were a checkout clerk at Save On Foods or Prairie Market. And I did do that for a long time. I think I probably spent 18 years. I was one of the first females hired for the chain, the 4th here in Chilliwack.
Wow.
And yeah, you had to be tough to do that job. We had to throw boxes up on the top shelves, and you know, I mean, it was a hard working girl's job. And so did that for a long time, but I always wanted to go into ministry. And most of the doors for women in anything to do with ministry were closed. I didn't appreciate that very much, because I think, you know, you should follow your passion. You should do what you want to do. So I pressed ahead. I went off to Bible school. I got some training, and I kept saying to Jim one day, because Jim was a fully ordained minister, and I said, one day I will be too. And one day I was.
Wow.
And so Jim and I went over to the Sardis side of our city, and we started a church called Southside Church. And when we left, because then I determined that I wanted to go more into the political side, when we left, there were about 800 people that would call Southside home, which was fun.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, unfortunately, you know, we're just almost out of time, but I have one quick question.
You bet.
A political one.
Okay, I'm ready.
Who's your favorite person on council?
Oh, they're all my lovelies. How can I answer that? You know, each one has their own strengths, and I just, you know, I call on them at different times for different things. But you know, you think of their passions, and it's like a beautiful mosaic, a beautiful quilt. I think our community is so smart.
Now, don't go serious on me. I was trying to end this on
sorry,
a joke.
Okay. All right, I'll try to not be serious. But what I want to say is the community is smart when they elect people.
Right.
They elect people of diverse backgrounds. If we all thought the same, we wouldn't have any kind of lively discussion at council. It would just be all those in favor, and we'd all raise our hands. So I love that we get lively debate. The biggest thing I would encourage any council to do is inculcate good relationships. Go out with each other. Go have a beer. Talk about stuff. Enjoy each other.
Let's end it on the beer, or on the enjoying each other. I don't drink.
Coffee,
I don't
strong
drink.
coffee.
Anyway, thanks again for being here. I really, really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Please stay tuned, because there's a whole other half to the show. Thanks again.
Thank you, Nancy.